Good evening, guys. Sorry I'm in my PJs because I'm about to hit the hay. But I didn't film anything yesterday, even though it was my day off, because it's just work has been busy. I only get a day off in a week until probably the end of March, so I was just kind of soaking in my day off yesterday. I wanted to come on here because I think I kind of hit how do I put it? Like, I'm just kind of hitting this point where I'm learning something new about just this whole journey, not just in music, which it's a huge part of that, to be honest, but like for my own, just how I deal with stress and how I deal with difficulty in general. And I wanted to share this because I don't know, I haven't heard like other people talk about this, like other artists talk about this. So I don't know, maybe this is more common than I think, but I just figured I kind of wanted to share what I learned. And to be honest, because I just kind of had this realization moment today as I was kind of just studying, listening to podcasts, and just reflecting on different things since I was able to get off work a little early. But so I guess just to start, I've always struggled with expressing myself emotionally, and as a result, like through communication. I have always had a tendency growing up to just kind of hide my emotions and bury them. And then when I get to a certain point, I just explode. But back in the day, even though I was not good at expressing myself emotionally with my words, I was still sort of expressing myself through music. So, and it was just so interesting how at the time I was writing these songs and it just felt like there was a whole disconnect. I was just writing what came to my mind. I was just recording what came to my mind. But then, like, as I would reflect on the song later on, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, years later. And yeah, it's just such a bizarre thing about songwriting. Like, you don't really, like, sometimes in the moment you don't know what you're expressing, what you're talking about in the song, and then you realize it later on. Is like so crazy. So yeah, there is that kind of like super interesting relationship that I had with music, despite my difficulty to just express myself in general on a daily basis. And I would say this goes back to like my high school era and, you know, finishing school and eventually moving out, being independent, working a full-time job for several years, and kind of like in the midst of all that, also just, you know, working on trauma, on just changes that happened in the community that I was in when I first started becoming more independent and all that. And it was just like a whole bunch of things combined that really changed my trajectory, I would say. It really made me feel confused and made me feel lost. And for the longest time, I put blame on, just being busy working full time. And that was why I wasn't doing so much with music. But I think when I think about it now, I think there's just so much going on. And with my lack of skill and being able to express myself, just even through words or with emotion, I didn't know how to do that anymore through my music. And that went on for a long time. And as a result, like, I would write songs here and there, like if someone asked me to write a song for them and stuff. I think my most recent projects that I released, they were all like, songs for my friends' weddings. And I would have songs that I would kind of like write on and I wouldn't be able to finish, but yeah, like other than that, I haven't put anything out. And I kept, for the longest time ever since, going through just everything that happened at the same time when I'm trying to like, be independent and get used to working full time, dealing with house stuff. And for the longest time, I was just like, what happened to my music? And at the time, I was just kind of making sense of it all, thinking it was just, I'm busy, I'm just trying to focus on, getting money and having food on the table. And there was just like a lot of financial stress in between and all that. But as I've been reflecting on things recently, having, for some reason, I'm finally at this place where I am giving myself more freedom to recognize what is actually blocking me as a musician. And I think it all comes down to, like, I don't want to feel the pain. I don't want to I don't want to be vulnerable in front of other people, even though I don't know why I'm getting emotional. Hold on. Like, even those songs, they might not have like the meaning behind the songs might not be clear and all that. And it's not like, you're like writing out an exact detail of like what's going on through the song. Like, you're just kind of expressing the situation in an artistic way. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry, guys. Let me put myself back together. But yeah, I was at a stage. Okay. As I'm kind of talking this out, like I'm still like trying to figure things out. But as I'm kind of putting it into words right now, it makes more sense. Whew, hold on. Sorry. Whew. I did not want to cry. Why? This is good, guys. I'm learning. Hold on, let me calm down a bit. I'll be right back. I calmed down now, but I don't know if I'll be able to make it through without crying. Let me actually drink something real quick. And I'm not saying that anyone was at fault for anything with what I experienced in the past. It was just, you know, things happened the way they did. But I think so to kind of get into a little bit more detail, just so that things make sense, is like, so when I moved out to be on my own, to live by myself in my own apartment, like just at the same time, like there was like trauma I was dealing with, there was just things going on with the community that I felt really grounded in, and so especially when I was just really working through the trauma in a healthy way, the community I was a part of really helped me get through that, and I felt safe to be vulnerable. And then that all just kind of ended, and it wasn't anyone's fault. And honestly, I'm also partially responsible because I'm the one that walked away. But at that time, I felt like I lost everything. The people that I trusted and I looked up to, they were all gone. So I had to kind of navigate where to go next without the community that I had. At that time, I honestly felt angry. And I felt resentful. Now I don't have those feelings. And obviously, since I'm getting so emotional talking about this, I'm realizing now that while I focused more on forgiving other people, even though they didn't do anything wrong, just kind of having that forgiveness towards them, I wasn't really working on the hurt that I felt. And I kept running away from that through work. And just filling up my time when I was alone with work. I think I've done that for a long time, to be honest. Hence, because I kind of kept running away from that aspect, it showed in my lack of songwriting and my creative block. It just went out the window. And I feel like I was gonna go on a completely different tangent in this video, and suddenly I brought that up. But that was huge too. That was super key. Again, I'm still figuring this out, because this was like a realization I had today. But all that to say, what I initially was intending, what I initially wanted to say was my fear of being vulnerable again in front of someone else, let alone an audience. My fear to trust again. That is really reflected in my music. The lack of songs that I put out. So that's all I wanted to say. I didn't want to cry. Whew. But this is good. This is good. This is what I wanted. I was so confused why all of this was happening, you know? Like, things that recently happened, things that happened, you know, with what I just talked about, why everything's happening. But I'm learning from all of it, and that's good, and I'm thankful. Good talk. So, and when I kind of started realizing that, lo and behold, I had a song idea that clicked in my brain today, and that was the first time in a long time. And I'm really excited. I didn't tell my brother yet, because I want to finish everything and have a good base for it before I send it to him. So I think that was a sign. So I'm sorry, that was such a messy video. I didn't intend it to be that way. But that's the whole point of the series. I don't know if there are any artists out there that experience the same thing. But yeah, I do apologize for this professional attire. You know, I'm so professional right now. Anyway, I think that's the video for today. Again, I apologize for it getting emotional. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.